Hi there, my name is Mary Coyer, and I'm here to talk today about how to shift a difficult conversation before it begins. What kinds of things you can do ahead of time that make a huge difference. So, the first thing to consider is what is your tendency during a difficult conversation? What's your biggest challenge? Do you have a hard time showing up and kind of holding your ground and being compassionate both for yourself and showing compassion for the other person also? Are you conflict averse? Are you kind of a bulldozer when there's some conflict? Like, I got to get my way. Is it hard for you to even imagine collaborating when you know there's a disagreement? The goal of any business place or organization is not to prevent conflicts from happening. They're important. They conflicts help improve healthy conflicts help improve creativity and productivity, and help to kind of keep organizations on track in ways that are actually really important. So teams without this kind of healthy conflict really do suffer. So the goal for a leader at work then is to understand and to kind of help encourage this type of healthy conflict for the sake of their team's creativity and productivity. But it's important to be able to manage your own triggers, to have some self-awareness, and to be in a space where you can recognize how to shift a conversation or an argument or any kind of conflict from one that's destructive into something that will be supportive of your team. And to do that, there's a number of skills that you need to learn, but we're going to kind of focus on prep work today. You may also be interested in, there's a blog post on consciouscommunication.co on managing difficult conversations. It's a worksheet to use during. So take a peek, that might be helpful. But again, ahead of time, as much as you can, the first key is get clear on what your intention is. What is it that you would like to get out of this conversation? You know, are you doing this because you are really wanting to understand something that you don't get where this person was coming from, and so you want to really hear them? Do you have something that you really want to say? Are you trying to build connection and collaboration and trust, or is this more about setting a firm boundary? You need to know what your intention is, because the tendency is for the other person to hear or to assume that you're going to come at them with some kind of blame or criticism. You know, like that's kind of what we tend to do in our culture is, especially during arguments, is I'm either right or wrong. And I'm expecting if you're going to come talk to me and we're in conflict, that you're going to try to convince me of why you're right and why I'm wrong. And so I'm going to get defensive. So if you can be clear on your intention that that is not what you're wanting to do in this conversation, it helps tremendously. But you'll need to vent first. You know, if you don't vent and get empathy before you meet with whomever that you're going to have this conversation with, it's likely to come out in your conversation with them. So if you have an opportunity to do that, you want to make sure that you kind of get all of the snarkiness out ahead of time. So second thing is you want to verbalize what you're hoping for so that they're clear. Again, if they really get that you just want to create a better working relationship moving forward, and that this conversation is about that rather than, you know, going through why I'm right and you're wrong one more time, that will be really helpful. And vulnerability is also incredibly disarming. So if it's like, yeah, I'm nervous to talk to you about this because I know that, you know, in the meeting the other day, things were pretty intense, but I'm really wanting you to know that what I'm hoping for is this, da, 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 da. You know, something as simple as that just really is connective for folks. The second key is shifting your mindset from me versus you, what we've been just talking about, to win-win. And there's a couple of like very tangible things you can do that will help you to get into this win-win thinking. One, though, is just recognizing that that is the ideal, that you find some solution that really works for you both. You want to therefore get your sort of judgments out of the way. You know, your ideas and your opinions are going to kind of they're going to kind of just squeeze their way into your conversation if you don't take the time before you begin and just really name them for yourself. Identify what they are, and then take a moment to kind of get clear on what the actual pure fact is underneath that judgment, without your interpretation added in, without your assumption, without your opinion in the mix. What's the pure fact? So, for example, if your judgment is that they don't care about this project, or they don't have integrity, or these millennials don't have the work ethic that, you know, my generation has, the pure fact might be, well, they've been late to 2 meetings with the client, right? Now, if you lead with that fact in the conversation, it's going to be much, much more digestible for the other person than the judgment. So in general, if you notice during a conversation that things are escalating and getting more intense, it's probably because some blame or criticism has sneaked its way in. So get back to the pure facts as much as you can, and keep your opinions and your ideas, your assumptions about, you know, whether this person's depressed or narcissistic or whatever, you know, you want to keep those on the sidelines for now. So after you have turned all these judgments into facts and gotten clear on what those are, then see if you can get clear on what matters to the both of you. Like, okay, you know, like, yeah, they were late twice, and that was frustrating for me and embarrassing. But the truth is we both really care about flow. We both care about creativity. We both really care about the client. We want to show them a great product. You know, like if you can get yourself in that space, it will set you up for a much higher chance of coming up with a win-win once you do begin to talk. Key 3 is to slow down, because it will help you so much when you get in the conversation and you get wrapped back up in the energy of the other person. So taking the time to like really turn things down a notch matters so much. And there are a couple of tangible things that you can do to help yourself slow down. One is to do some kind of a very simple breath practice where you just kind of breathe and focus and count, where you pay attention to your heart and feel your heartbeat as you breathe longer and longer breaths. You can breathe and focus on your feet. You know, anything that helps your mind shift out of that sort of judgmental loop will be the mind just wants something to do. So if you tell it, you know, what I'm wanting you to focus on is less like why that person's, you know, out to get me or whatever, and more on, where's my breath in this moment? Your mind will shift gears very quickly, and it'll help you to slow down. It also, looking at that second bullet point there, will help to shift your nervous system out of any fight, flight, or freeze responses you might be in, which you may not even realize that you're in, because that is one of the characteristics of being in that space. It's automatic. And frankly, in much of, in most workplaces, the majority of workers today are in a chronic kind of lower to mid-grade flight or fight response from just every day. Like this is kind of our norm. So any little stressor can really like spike things up into the red zone. And as far as your nervous system is concerned, so if you slow down, you will re-engage your ability to access the frontal part of your brain, the frontal lobes, where innovation and problem solving and creativity is much more accessible. So this will, of course, be really helpful in your conversation. The next thing here, I'm just going to say something very briefly about this because it's a long point, but intention versus impact. So you may be in the position where you didn't intend for such and such to happen. You didn't mean for the impact to be negative in whatever way it was. Like your intention was to help out or to make things easier, and it didn't work out. If you can name the impact and just acknowledge that for the other person, even though it wasn't your intention, that will be so connective. And vice versa. If you happen to be in the position where something impacted you significantly, consider the intention was probably not to do so, and name that for the person. Like, I get that, you probably had my best interests at heart, and, I want to give you the benefit of the doubt about that. And, there was some impact based on the decisions you made. And so I'm just, hoping we can talk about that and come up with a plan moving forward. If you can consider both the intention and the impact, that will be really beneficial for you. This last piece, ready yourself to be changed. Can you go into this conversation with a desire to listen? To especially hard to do if the other person doesn't have a lot of resources or might be on the defensive in the first place. But if there's some part of you that's willing to go in there and experience some kind of a shift, rather than I'm going to go in there and, damn it, I am going to say what I have to say. You can't stop me. Like there's a real difference in the energetic between these two. So I hope that this has been helpful. There are so many skill sets involved in some of these management and collaborative communication skill sets. And so I'd love for you to learn more if you're interested. So going to consciouscommunication.co and get some resources for your whole team, bring a training to your organization. This is where you can also go if you would like to support our corporate or school partnership program that we offer. And otherwise, I'd love it if you would share this video if you found something helpful or think that this might be beneficial information for somebody else. Please hit that little button, share it on Facebook. Thank you so much.